Welcome, everybody, and Happy New Year. We made it to 2026. I'm Sonia from Celestia Astrology, and I'm here for Astere Sophia Kairos, our astrology collective. And thank you for joining me as we step into the very first week of 2026. I'm here looking at the astrology of the week from the 31st to the 7th of January. We go Wednesday to honor the god of astrology, which is Hermes. And Wednesday is his day of the week. So we're stepping into January and the sky is almost setting the tone for 2026. The first few days of the year are delivering a sequence of shifts, and we're going from a little bit of fog, some confusion, and stepping into a little bit more clarity, some emotional moments and some moments of renewal. If you're new here or just finding us or trying us out, this is our weekly astrology forecast where we look at the transits and translate them into something we hope you can actually use in your daily life. Our aim here is to offer you timing that helps you to navigate your choices, your relationships, your work, and your inner world as well. So join me to look at the first week in January. We find ourselves deep in Capricorn season. And when we say Capricorn season, we're looking at the movements of the sun. So the sun is moving through the zodiac sign of Capricorn. And that brings us into a time of honoring structure, legacy, and commitments. And that began with the winter solstice on the 21st of December. So this is a season that's demanding that we get serious about our goals. I always wait for Capricorn season to start my year ahead planning. The symbol of Capricorn is the mountain goat. It may not be pretty, its movements, but it's always able to surmount any obstacles that it finds and make it up the mountain. And of course, safely back down again. So let's look at the first transits that bring us into the new year. And it's quite fitting. We go straight into it on the first day of January. On January the 1st, we find that Mercury, who's at the very last degree of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is currently retrograde in Cancer. This isn't a great place for Mercury. Mercury is said to be in exile or detriment here because Mercury is opposite its home sign of Gemini. So Mercury can struggle a little bit with the buoyant optimism of Sagittarius, with the big ideas that Jupiter in Sagittarius likes to bring us, the wise philosophies and the big beliefs. Mercury likes to get a little bit more granular and curious about the details, to take things apart and see what it's made of. And Jupiter's more concerned with what are the big ideas driving this. On this day, on the 1st, Mercury is squaring Neptune in Pisces. And this is about big dreams as well. But Neptune in Pisces is otherworldly, can be nebulous and hard to exactly describe what we're seeing and feeling. So there's this feeling of fuzziness around our biggest dreams, wants to put them into words, put them into details and communicate them to us. Neptune can be known as the dissolver. It's almost like the tides where things can look true 1 minute and then they ebb and flow as the tides move and things get dissolved and washed away. So as we're trying to focus on those Capricorn goals, our attentions can start to feel a little bit vague, or we might find ourselves miscommunicating our vision with this square. The square is calling us to action, but it's hard to say exactly what that action is, with Mercury finding it hard to get the words out or to communicate the vision. So we might see this as a time to just stop and lean into those feelings. It's a short moment. It's only for half the day before Mercury actually enters Capricorn later in that day, a few hours later. And the final degrees can be known as crisis moments. It's like before the planet leaves the sign, it's like, are you really sure? It's like that moment when you're leaving the house before you're going on a holiday. It's like, have I turned everything off that I need to turn off? Have I watered the plants? Everything that you want to check. Maybe you're running back into the house to check things. Have you got everything that you need to take? Left everything how you want to leave it? So there's that feeling of maybe slightly panic. Have I done everything I need to do? Mercury is checking. What did I need to do during this time in Sagittarius? What did I need to learn? What do I want to communicate? And then Neptune is maybe saying, just slow your horses. Sagittarius is represented by the wild horses, and maybe they're running, but they're not sure what direction they're running. And Neptune is saying just slow them a minute, or you might forget those things that are important. Certainty is being dissolved, seeking meaning and truth, the one truth. And Neptune is dissolving that certainty altogether. So for us, this may feel like we've got difficulty focusing or articulating our plans. We might have heightened intuition. And if we just slow down a little bit, that allows that to come through. We might find it hard to access our logic or give clear explanations, but we might also find that our dreams are brighter, clearer, more significant, or that there are old stories resurfacing and asking maybe for closure or to find expression or for us to figure out what they mean. But we're not figuring it out in a logical way. We're just trying to make those connections between the symbols in those dreams and what they might mean to us. There might be some wishful thinking or projection or just believing a story because it feels true rather than having a solid reason. So all in all, my advice is that this isn't a day for forcing any clarity. It's just a day to slow those horses down a little. You're not going to get there any faster if you're rushing in and out of the house trying to check things. Just maybe have a list and check it twice. Just listen, reflect, and allow those things that need to dissolve as we move into the new year. Maybe you've brought some things with you from 2025 that you didn't need to. Maybe if you stepped into the new year feeling confused or emotionally overwhelmed, know that that's okay. That's what that time of transition from one year to the next was, moving into this square between Mercury and Neptune. So know that this is a moment of necessary pause. And it's interesting that at the same time we have the moon in Mercury's sign. So the moon also symbolizes how our emotional needs are met and what we're seeking emotionally. So we are seeking those details and we're seeking communication with others and sociable connections. But that doesn't last long because hours later we'll see Mercury tiptoe over that boundary into Capricorn. And it won't be alone. It was the last one to make that connection and to make that square to Neptune, and before that to Saturn. And then it joins this stellium, which can bring a focus of energy. So we've already got Venus, the Sun, and Mars in Capricorn. And you can see how close and tight they are. As we move through week 1 and 2, Venus and Mars will both be contacting the Sun. And this is quite rare to have them both conjunct the Sun at the same time as well in Capricorn. Mercury will be joining them and offering us the chance to give voice and to bring our thoughts and our energy. And that will be the time that we can now start making those plans for our year ahead. This will mean our minds are now fully engaged with the collective energy of ambition, value, and action. That mountain goat is fully powered. So in Sagittarius, that thinking was abstract, philosophical, concerned with the big ideas. And in Capricorn now, it's going to be more strategic and disciplined and focused, because Capricorn is an earth sign. So it's concerned with the tangible. So our thoughts are now focused on tangible results for the year ahead. So this is a great time to get your diary or your plans organized, to think about your budgets or your long-term plan for the year. What mountain do you want to climb this year? And we go from this very strategic, very clear thinking that's ruled by Saturn. And we see that Saturn is very close to Neptune, but in Pisces, it's concerned with our dreams, our hopes, wishes. It's in another Jupiterian sign and a watery sign, an emotional sign. But Saturn has a sextile to Capricorn. So Saturn is able to look after those planets and bring opportunities through to them. So that's good for Saturn to be able to help those planets to function well. And then on the 3rd, things turn a little bit more emotional, away from the clear strategic thinking of Capricorn. And we're looking at really going into our feels, looking at friendships and protection, themes of nurturing and care as we reach the full moon in Cancer. As in the decan of Cancer too, here at 13 degrees. And that is happening at 10 a.m. in the morning in universal time. Full moons are like culminations. The moon is very bright in the sky, and it will appear even brighter because at the moment Jupiter is visible, very bright in the sky. So if you look up in the sky on the night, you'll see the bright moon, and you'll also be able to see right next to it a bright Jupiter. And you can get apps like Stellium or Skyview Light, I believe it is, that are free to download. And when you hold that up to the sky, it will tell you what you're looking at if you're unsure. So at the moment, Jupiter's visible and you might even be able to see Saturn. However, these planets in Capricorn, they're not visible. They're so close to the sun that the sun's light is obscuring them. So this lunation where the moon is shining so brightly, bringing visibility to this Cancer part of our lives, you can look to where Cancer is in your chart, and that will give you more information about the themes that it's showing up for you. So, for example, it could be about your home and family, or about work, or about your relationships. And Cancer is a cardinal sign, so it's about initiating something, and quite often with cardinal signs, whatever's initiated doesn't end up exactly how it started. And it's opposite all of these planets in Capricorn that are wanting us to plan our year ahead. But because they're not visible, they may be thinking more internally, they may be more reflective, and they're all about to meet the sun and begin new cycles. So while we're planning, we're releasing old things and beginning new things. So this opposition will bring some tension with that and ask us to balance. Might be public ambition, depending on where Capricorn lands in your chart, and our needs for that nurturing and care, whether we're giving it to others or whether it's something that we need for ourselves. This moon illuminates where we might be neglecting our own emotional needs, or where we might be giving too much to others. That saying comes to mind about putting your own oxygen mask on first. We've got to make sure that we are healthy and well in order to be able to look after others. And the other saying that you can't pour from an empty cup. So you've got to make sure your own cup is full. And we see this delightful image from the Wild Way Oracle deck by Nicola Allen, this celebration and abundance. And it almost looks like they're toasting each other with tiny cups, because the river that they're fishing in is full. They've obviously got an abundance, lovely little delightful otters. But we also see this walled garden, and that's a reference to Austin Coppock's description of this decan, which is a division of 3, each sign. So Cancer is divided into 3 decans. So the first 10 degrees is decan 1, the second decan is from 10 to 20, and that's where this moon lies. And Austin Coppock describes this decan as a walled garden. So we see this wall running around the garden that these otters are in, and that's providing protection and safety. So this abundance that they're experiencing is within this protective environment and safety, but we see how everything is safe and calm and all is well within that area. So this is a really lovely decan. And the tarot card that goes with it is the 3 cups. So we see this celebration, the suggestion of friendship and community as well, of sharing what we have, because there's enough for everybody here. So those are the things to think about at this time. Is where in your life do these themes come up? Where in your life do you have enough, and where in your life could you share, or where do you find that abundance and that friendship? And is the balance right? Have you got that balance? Because that's what that question is being asked with that tension between the planets in Capricorn. Is there too much of the Capricorn planning and hard work and overcoming obstacles? Or is there too much of the nurturing and the caring? And this full moon will illuminate some of that and help us figure out where we can adjust a little bit, just to make sure that our inner security and our personal nourishment is reinforced, and that will help us then to reach out to others. And it's interesting as well that the co-rulers of this decan are Mercury and Mars. And we see those both opposite in Capricorn. So they've got sight of the decan. They're able to support and help. And also Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So Mars is in a really great position to help. And the moon is the domicile ruler of Cancer. Jupiter is the exalted ruler of Cancer. So we've got all of the rulers there, as well as the decan rulers, able to bring their significations in and help with this emotional work that we're doing, checking in our inner needs, on our nourishment, on our boundaries, and actively defining them and defending them, to ensure that we're nourished enough and to ensure that we can help those around us as well. So you might want to think about emotional patterns. Maybe you've carried old emotional patterns from 2025 to 2026, and those might be being shown to you now because they're ready to be released, or because you need to adjust them before you continue on into 2026. You may also be looking at who supports you within the sanctuary of your walled garden? And are they still the people that you want to support you into 2026? You might be thinking about your boundaries. Are you overgiving to external demands? And are those the demands that are going to support your Capricornian goals? Make sure that if you are giving, that it's a reciprocal relationship, that it's the people that you want within your walled garden. When we look at the aspects, we see that the moon is trining the north node in Pisces and has a sextile to the south node as well in Virgo. So there's some karmic work here now and destiny here from these nodes that will move out of Pisces and Virgo later in the year. They're supporting you in this work. The trine is of the nature of Jupiter, so it's bringing ease into this work for you from that Pisces area of your chart. You might find that there's some emotional release as well with the sextile to the south node ruled by Mercury. So you've got the opposition to Mercury and the sextile to Mercury. So there might be some work there to do, releasing some of our needs to document everything and be precise in the work that we're doing. So it's almost like we're undertaking an emotional inventory as we're making these year ahead plans of the support that we've got, the emotional work that's needed. And then there'll be a new moon in Capricorn in 2 weeks. And that will be a fresh start in this area of our charts. You may find that you're receiving emotional insights now at the full moon about safety and support, and that will help inform the planning that you're doing in the Capricorn area and any intentions that you might decide to set at the Capricorn new moon, that you will be maybe looking ahead for your year. So I would suggest that you use the time after this full moon or a couple of days running up to this full moon as the moon is getting brighter and brighter in the sky and you can see it next to Jupiter, to think about your needs, your emotional needs and your needs for protection and safety, and see what's coming up about those themes. And then use the 2 weeks between the full moon and the new moon. Think about the structure that you want to build, the plans that you're making, and ensure that the emotional release is supporting that. So now we reach this beautiful moment of the Venus Kazemi, when Venus is said to be in the heart of the sun, in the throne room of the cosmic king, who is the sun. And it's a moment when planets are said to be empowered. They can ask for gifts, and it's a renewal of their cycle. They're not visible to us. We won't be aware of maybe what renewal or what gifts are given until the planets become visible in the sky, which won't be until March. But it's nice sometimes to mark this moment, and it's happening at 16 degrees 22 minutes on the 6th of January. So it's an auspicious moment, and Venus is the planet of attraction. She represents values, love, resources, and bringing grace, harmony, sex. She represents women, peace, and fun as well into our lives. Creativity. Currently we see both Venus and the Sun at 16 degrees, but you can notice that Mars is at 17. So as Venus separates from the Sun, she'll be moving towards Mars and will reach the 19 degrees, which is the degree of the upcoming Mars Kazemi, which we'll talk about next week on January the 9th. So this is a powerful and also rare sequence where we're looking at both our own values and self-worth for Venus, but immediately preceding the clarity of the Mars Kazemi, which is about action and how we take action and our motivations and what we fight for. So this is a moment of grounded clarity on values and love and how we find harmony. The things that we like and the things that we dislike. You might find you're coming to the end of a cycle on things that you enjoy and value. And there may be new things coming into your life that you're going to enjoy and value. And because Venus is in the underworld at the moment, it's like the story of Inanna, where to go into the underworld, she has to divest herself of her worldly adornments. And it's almost like the same metaphorically for us too. What are we stripped back to? Who are we without those things that we use to define ourselves? You know, quite often people will style our hair or our clothes and use that to say who we are. But without those, who are we? So a moment of clarity around this as Venus reaches the Sun, purification of our values and desires. And it's a reset moment. when Venusian themes are clarified, purified as well, and renewed. Maybe relationships dynamics are purified. The sun here is bringing illumination and authority, but it's a renewal of the cycle between Venus and the sun. So you may find desires that may have been distorted. We have a chance to correct that if you want to, or maybe if you've been over-idealizing things or people pleasing, we have a chance to enter into a new cycle. If you've got unsustainable relationship patterns, it's a time to bring that to mind, especially when we've had the full moon in Cancer, drawing our attention to it as well. In Capricorn, we're looking at like tangible results and commitment to long-term things. We're releasing fantasy and illusions, and we're looking at integrity and long-term values over short-term gratification. So maybe seeking honest relationship decisions and recommitting to the values that matter to you and realigning those values. And are they aligned with your plans in the other areas of your life? A shadow side to watch for Venus in Capricorn could be a coldness that's masquerading as maturity. Sometimes with Saturn ruling this sign, there can be an appearance of distance, or emotions can be shown through practical matters. There could be a fear of vulnerability or of displaying the emotions. So it's a good moment for, like in the same way that a marriage ceremony, you might renew your vows, but do you want to renew your vows to yourself? What would you want to bring in terms of your vows to yourself, and making them for you the year forward? In terms of what do you want to attract into your life? What long-term integrity do you choose? And what relationship structures will suit you going forwards now? And what do you wish to release? If you wanted to mark the moment, you might choose to do so by maybe wearing Venus colours on the day. She likes green, white, and pink, and you could light a candle to her or create an altar with flowers to Venus or candles to Venus in her colours. Just one candle is enough, or just placing items that are important to you and signify love, harmony, creativity. She enjoys luxury products, textures. If you think of Taurus as one of her signs, she loves beauty. So anything that's to you signifies Venusian things or a gift from your lover. Light a candle and then just lean into the stillness and just watch the candle or your breathing, and just sit with Venus and just see what enters your mind, maybe. And so that closes out the first week of January. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sonia from Celestia Astrology, and we are Asterae Severe Kairos. And this first week has been moving from the potential of the new year and bringing in this grounded emotional integrity using this structure of the Capricorn season and these planets in Capricorn. And also we've had the emotional release of this full moon as well. So I hope that the first week is going well for you. And please do tell us in the comments which house this full moon in Cancer is falling in for you. Maybe it's affecting your inner world or your career or your relationships. And maybe you're choosing to release an emotional pattern. Do let us know. And if you've got any questions, also let us know, because we'd love to help and guide you. And I will be back next week looking at week 2. And if you want to contact any of the Astero Kairos astrologers, we're all here to help you with year ahead readings and readings on your own natal charts. So do feel free to reach out and contact us, and our websites are all in the show notes. Thank you so much.